In a world where ad reporting is still money.
You're telling me this took you 3 hours. We have 12 more to do.
Forget it, I'm done. Just send them the screenshots.
Not the screenshots.
Oh my god.
Wait, why are you guys doing this manually?
In this video, I'll be showing you how you can automate your Facebook ad reporting. We'll be going over how you can get data from Facebook and scrape it, then how to categorize that data by different clients using some custom formulas. Then we'll go over how you can create monthly report cards to give you an overview of clients' performance broken down every single month. And lastly, we're going to use make.com to set up automation to automatically create these monthly reports for each individual client and then automatically share it with them on different platforms like Gmail, Slack, or even PowerPoint completely automatically. If you're new here, you'll soon find out that this guy in an orange t-shirt does not hold anything back. So let's get straight into how you can automate the Facebook ad reporting in your agency. Now, the first big thing we need to do is scrape this data from Facebook into some sort of database so you can actually store it, but most importantly, collect it in the future. Now, in this case, I'm using Facebook as the example, but you can use the exact same process for TikTok ad data, Google ad data, even Instagram organic impressions. I mean, you're going to see there's a bunch of different integrations we want to do. And all we want to do here is get this data off of Facebook so we can reference it later. Now, in this example, I'm going to be taking the data from Facebook into a Google Sheet because that's probably the simplest way for most people to use this. But you can use whatever storage you want to use, whether it's Airtable or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. Now, to do this, we're going to be using a very special software called 2-Minute Reports. I believe I do have an affiliate link, but I'm not sponsored by these guys. It's just generally the same exact software that I use for our clients. And this is how we basically get data from different platforms like Facebook, off of Facebook and into a separate sort of database. And as you can see, guys, they don't just integrate with Facebook. You can do this exact same thing for Google data, TikTok ad data, LinkedIn ad data, Snapchat ad data, if anyone's still doing those, even Instagram insights, YouTube analytics. I mean, there's so many different integrations that they actually have. But in this case, we'll just be focusing on Facebook ads. And if you're wondering how much this costs, depending on how many clients you have, it can go up to $99 a month for up to 50 connections, which basically means 50 different clients. I mean, we have a lot of, most of our clients use this when it comes to scraping data and getting it onto different platforms. And it's quite competitively priced, especially compared to other competitors. So definitely check it out. But in this case, we're going to set up Google Sheets. Now, I'm not currently running any Facebook ads, so I can't actually show you the setup process, but they have some really cool documentation which you can check out. I mean, it's fairly simple. You basically sign up, and then once you sign up, you want to go ahead and connect that specific connection to your Facebook account on the Google Sheet. And then once that, you want to set up your data queries. But honestly, guys, it's nothing too complicated. They'll literally guide you through the whole exact process. So nothing to worry about there. In this case, we want to get this data onto a Google Sheet, right? So once you actually manage to sign up, you're going to go over to extensions. And if you haven't already, you need to download the extension. And once you got it here, you're going to go ahead and press launch, which is basically going to launch 2-Minute Reports on your Google Sheet. That's the way it works. It's not kind of like its own software. You have to treat it separately. And once you have it here, you're going to see it load up here on the right hand side. And this is where you want to add your different data queries, which in this case you don't have action. So first things first, you want to add a connection, which is basically just connecting your Facebook account and deciding which accounts you want to add in the database. In this case, you want to select all of your client accounts where you're actually getting that data from. Once you've done that, you want to actually set up a data query, which is basically where you're going to be importing that data in. Now, if all of this is complicated, guys, don't worry. This is the first step. The main thing we're trying to do is get something like this, so we can actually see all of our clients' data on a spreadsheet. And this is basically something I'll update on a daily basis. So depending on how many times you want to do it, let's say every hour, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, maybe even once a day, it will automatically update and get a specific account's data for that specific day. So I'll zoom in for you guys. This is just example data I generated ChatGPT, but I've got my date here. I've got my account name, which in this case will be the Facebook ad account, the ad spend, the number of leads, and the impressions. This is the data where we're looking to connect using 2-Minute Reports. So once again, nothing extremely difficult, nothing extremely crazy, but the whole point of 2-Minute Reports and the whole reason we're using a software like that is so we can get that data within there. Now, maybe by the time you're watching this in a year's time, there will be another software. Don't focus too much on the specific softwares I'm actually talking about. Let's think more so about the way I'm going about things and the methodology behind doing these things. So in this case, the whole reason I'm using a software like 2-Minute Reports is to get that data off of Facebook into a Google Sheet, just like this. So go through, sign up to 2-Minute Reports or any other software. Honestly, I don't really mind. Whatever you find works best for you. That's just the one that we use for our clients. And then once you've done that, you want to go to extensions, 2-Minute Reports, launch it, add the connections to your Facebook ad account, and then set up the data queries to get the different data that you actually want. Now, when it comes to 2-minute reports specifically, and once again, I don't know if it might have changed by the time you're watching this, but they integrate with a lot of different, they can get a lot of different stats. So in this case, I only have ad spend, leads, and impressions, but you can get really, really granular on the actual data you're importing in. So whether you want the individual campaign types or individual ad sets, you can even add preview links, you can add the CPLs, you can add, number of clicks. I mean, you can get really, really granular on the data you're actually putting into this report. But in this case, I've just kept it very, very simple. All we have here is ad spend, leads, and impressions. You can obviously elevate this however much you want, but let's just keep it simple for now, and you can apply this and enhance this in your own time. So once you've actually managed to use 2-minute reports to get that data off of Facebook in this case, but once again, doesn't matter whether you're using TikTok ads, Google ads, off of the ad platforms into this Google Sheet, the next thing we need to do is basically divide this data using some custom formulas. Because at the moment, even if you look at this as sample data that I generated here, everything is together in one place, which isn't that helpful. We want to find some way to basically identify these clients by specific regimes. And in this case, this is not too relevant, right? Because everything's going to live within this Google Sheet. However, in the future, if you ever want to move this off of the Google Sheet and create different things like a dashboard and have the ability to filter by specific names, then it probably would be helpful to set some sort of key identifier for each client. So in this case, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a new sheet within my Google Sheet, and I'm going to call this my client sheet. And in this case, all I want to do is basically get the unique clients that are in this row, so row B. So in this case, once I've actually created that sheet, I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to enter a formula. And once again, this is not for complicated, guys. I just use ChatGPT to generate this, or you can just use ChatGPT to generate this. And then I'm going to choose the add data row B and then go ahead and actually close that off. And that should be it. So as you can see now, we have a list of all the different unique clients, which will automatically update. So for example, if I quickly go all the way to the bottom and I add ABCD or random text, you'll see it'll automatically add in there. So we have that way to basically categorize this data by individual clients, right? Now, this is where you basically add different IDs if necessary, maybe even potentially an email, so we can actually reference them in the future and maybe send them a different message. So that's what we're basically going to do. We're going to fill in this example information. So ID, I could put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for emails, I'm just going to enter some test emails, which is what we're going to be using later on to actually test these emails and send them on to the relevant person. So there you go. Fairly simple, guys. I mean, once again, the only reason I'm doing this is because in the last part of this whole video, I'm going to be showing you how you can set up automation, which automatically sends these different reports to clients. So all we're having here is basically a way to group this data by individual clients, which in this case, the main identifier is the email. So we can then reference it later. But if you ever want to move this off a Google Sheet into a dashboard, this is going to come very, very handy. So I would recommend skipping out this step. But we've now been able to basically organize this data by individual clients. I could spice this up a bit, and which I will actually. I'm just going to enhance this a bit more. So let's get our CPL, which is our cost per lead. And all that is just a very simple formula. We can do in this case 80 divided by number of leads. And then we're going to autofill this as well. So in this case it's 0. So maybe I can add a condition. I'm just going to leave it as that actually. And I'm just going to clean this up by moving this back a bit like that. Perfect. So that's looking good now. We got a CPL. We could also add a cost per impressions or CPM, so cost per 1,000 impressions. But once again, guys, I'm very happy with this. I don't want to make this too complicated, right? The main thing we have here is our data. What we basically want to do now is group this data on a monthly basis. And the easiest way to do this is by using some query fields that will scrape that data from that and basically summarize it by month, but most importantly, by actual client as well. So let's go back to our Google Sheet in this case, and let's create another sheet. And in this case, this is going to be our monthly summary sheet. So in this case, very simply, guys, I just went to ChatGPT and asked it to actually generate me a formula. This is the same thing I'd recommend you guys do when it comes to setting up formulas in Google Sheet. ChatGPT is very, very good at this. And even if you're not set up Google Sheet formulas, this will make your life a bit easier. So in this case, I'm just went ahead and copied this and I added it straight to the Google Sheet. And this is what it basically gave me: a monthly summary of the client's performance, which is grouped first things first by the month, but also by the individual client. However, we need to go ahead and actually fact check this to make sure this is actually true. So in this case, we're saying client 5 has spent 4.5K in March. We can actually check this. So the data is a bit scattered. So I might actually, let's see if we can do this, be able to convert this. Yes, over here, convert this to a table. And then once you've converted it to a table, we can actually sort it by date. And this is nothing too crazy, guys. I'm just making sure everything's good. Perfect. And now I'm just going to filter this specifically for client 5, I believe. I should be able to filter. and then client 5. Perfect. So this is all the client 5 data, and we're just doing it to test, basically test that the formula is actually right. So in this case, I'm going to sum all the date or the ad spend from April by going like this, and in this case it's 4,500, and as you can see on the monthly summary it's 4,500. So this is right. I'm happy with this. What this is basically giving us is a monthly summary of all the data, which is great. I'm very happy with this. Now let's quickly just clean this up a bit more, just to make it a bit clearer to anyone that's ever looking at this in the future. At the moment it just says sum, which is fine, I guess. We'll leave it as that. The only thing I want to add here, no, actually I'll leave it as that, but I'm going to change this to month. So we actually have April over there. Let's go ahead and delete this. The only thing I changed it is to basically say the month, so it's just a bit clearer in terms of the automation. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, there's not much more we can do here. The only thing I'll probably make life a bit easier in the future is having it separate. So having a date in one column and then the client name in the other column. So let's go back to our good old friend ChatGPT, and let's actually set this up. So within ChatGPT, so very simply, I just ask it to store the client name and the date in 2 separate columns, and then also add headings to the table just to make it a bit clearer. So now I'm just going to go press copy, go back to our trusty good spreadsheet. I'm going to delete this, and we're going to just paste this back in, and this should work. So there you go. Now we have the client name, the date, and once again everything seems to be grouped, which is great. Now the only thing I want to add here is the CPL, because once again it's not calculated here automatically. So I'm going to put equals and get the total ad spend, and then divide it by the total leads. So then we have our average CPL for the entire month, and that's a good summary of everything. Cool, guys. I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy, actually. We've done some really good progress. Let's go ahead and just clean this up with a bit of coloring and, you know, headings and whatnot, just to make it easier on the eye. But apart from that, this is pretty much good. And this is basically all we need. Like right now, you could easily share this with your team. And now for each individual client, you have an overview of how they're performing on a month-by-month basis. This is a really good start, guys. And a lot of people don't even have this. So if you've gone to this point, pat yourself in the back. It's not like you've done anything crazy, to be honest. But now what we want to do is set up automation that on a monthly basis scrapes this data from the previous month and then automatically sends that data to the relevant client. And to do that, we're going to be using our good old friend make.com, which is basically just a no-code automation platform. If you've heard of Zapier, make.com is fairly similar. All these tools are doing are repackaging different APIs. So like I said, don't get too married to the software. If you are using Zapier or any sort of other automation tool like N8M, for example, you can replicate a very similar process with that one I'm going to show you today with make.com in whatever software that you actually want. But for now, let's hop over to make.com and let's actually create this automation. So
What do you mean they want to leave? We've been with them for 5 months.
We just don't really feel like we're seeing results, so we're thinking of moving on.
Yeah, totally understand.
Churn is killing us, man.
It happened last Tuesday. Client dropped off and never came back. I still send looms. No one watches them.
No.
pause. If this feels a little too familiar,
Then you need the Churn Buster 3000.
I was blind when it came to client success. Now I see. Thanks, Churn Buster.
I served in client retention for 6 years. Lost too many good accounts. Not on my watch. Not anymore.
stop reacting to client churn and start preventing it. Book your free churn help check using the first link in the description and start scaling your agency the right way without losing your best clients every single month.
Clients are leaving.
We aren't making profit.
Our LTV sucks.
Sucks.
Another one without Churn Buster.
I'm going to go ahead and logged into my YouTube account, the one I use for my YouTube videos, and I'm going to create a new scenario. And in this case, this is going to be my monthly reporting scenario. And by the way, guys, if you have any sort of questions about anything I talked about so far, make sure to leave a comment below because we are a very small channel. We check all these different comments. So if you ever get stuck on anything or you ever need help with anything, just leave a comment and we'll have someone respond to you as soon as possible. But for now, I'm going to check this. I'm going to rename this, sorry. This is going to be my monthly reporting automation, and let's go ahead and actually set this up. So what we want this automation to do is on a monthly basis, we need it to summarize the data from a previous month, and then we need to individually package that data by different clients so we can actually send it to the relevant clients. So what I'm going to do here in this example, I'm going to firstly go over here and I'm going to set some variables. So I'm going to go over the tools. I'm going to go for set variable. The only thing we need to set here is the month, which is going to be our date. Now, the only way we're going to match this by using these actual dates and the client name also. But the first thing we need to do is format it in this case, which is year, and then month. So in this case, I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go over to date. I'm going to choose format date. And because when we run this in our heads is going to be 1 month before, because we're going to run this at the start of every single month, we're going to go first things first, go over to add months, and we're going to add now, which is basically today's date, and we're going to -1 because we want to get the previous month in. So in this case, let's say we were in May, we would get April. If we were in June, we'd get May. It's always going to be the previous month because this is going to be triggered on the first day of the new month, right? And then in terms of the format, I'm going to put the exact same format that we have in Google Sheet, which is year, 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 and then month, month, just like that. So I'm going to put as, for example, I'm recording this right now in May. So right now it's going to be 202504, which is April. Once again, 1 month before this month, which is exactly what we want. So in this case, we'll set in that month. And now what we basically want to do is we're going to scrape all the different clients on our client sheet over here. The only reason we're doing this is we can find these individual clients on our actual sheet. So I'm going to go back to my automation and I'm going to go to Google Sheets. I'm going to go ahead and click search rows because that's basically what I'm going to do. I've already gone ahead and added my connection. If you haven't already done this, it's as simple as pressing add. It's going to ask you to log in. And you just go ahead and log in. And then we're going to find on my Google Sheet. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and search my Google Sheet, which is the example Facebook reporting. I'm going to go ahead and click the ID finder and search. Let's see, I think I searched it wrong, so I'm going to go over here and press OK there, and now we should get something, hopefully. There you go. And in this case, I'm going to use V2, which hopefully is this one. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to choose my sheet name, and in this case, once again, all we're doing is searching for our clients. So I'm going to use the client sheet. Table does contain headers, and the only filter we're going to add it, no, we don't actually need any filter because all we want to do is get the active clients. So now if I quickly run this, you're going to see it's basically going to show me all the different active clients. Now, one additional thing you can do in this sheet, for example, is you can add another thing, which is status. And then, for example, here we can have active, not active, 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 and then we can set up filter so this only continues over for active clients. But once again, this is kind of when you're turning into some more so developing this a bit more, just so we can have, for example, we don't send these reports to clients that are not active. So in order to do that, all I'll do is add a filter here, and then we go over to the next kind of module, which is search rows, and we'll come back to this in a second. But we're going to add a filter here that the D, which is the actual column, is equal to active. So now this is only going to process for our different clients who are active and other ones that are not active. Once again, this is very simple stuff, but it's when you're starting to make it a bit more advanced. So now, for example, if a client doesn't become active, you can automatically stop sending them reports rather than having to edit automation. But anyways, once we set up automation that is basically setting that variable for the date, then we'll search in the Google Sheet to find our active clients. Now we need to find our monthly reports. And how we actually do that is very simple. So we're going to search rows. And once again, we're going to do a similar process. It's going to be the same Google Sheet, which in this case is example Facebook reporting. And once again, it's going to be V2. But the key difference here, we don't want to get every single record. We just want to get a record that actually matches this specific bundle. So in this case, I'm going to choose my monthly summary sheet and I'm going to enter my filters. So first things first, the month needs to be equal to our date, which is we can get all the way down here, just like that. And we need to make sure our client name is equal to, and then here we just enter the client name straight from there. So now if I go ahead and press save and actually run this module, you'll see it's going to basically output 4 different bundles, I believe. And each of these individual bundles is going to contain that client data. So for example, if I open up operation 1, you can see it's got the data for client 3 and it's got the data specifically for the previous month, which in this case is April, along with the ad spend, total leads, total impressions, CPL, all of that good stuff. And this is basically us scraping that data automatically from the spreadsheet, which comes from Facebook ads using a tool like 2-minute reports, and directly into automation where we can do so many different things with this. Now, in this case, as you can see here, it also didn't work for the not active client, which was the second one, which in this case, once again, is client 4 because they're not active. So we added that filter in so it only processes active clients. Now, what we want to do next is entirely up to us. I mean, there's so much we can actually do. But in this case, I'm going to be showing you, just because we have the emails here, how you can automatically email these different reports to different clients. So in this case, I'm going to go back to mate.com. I'm going to add another module. And I'm going to go all the way down to Gmail. And in this case, I'm going to be sending a Gmail over to a client. So I'm going to go over to send an email. If it actually wants to load up, there you go. So once again, you have to go ahead and connect your Gmail. In this case, I've got so many different connections. And for some reason, none of them seem to be working, which is, ideal. So at least you guys can get an idea of what this looks like. So I'm just going to go press add. And then I'm going to actually sign in through Google. Now it's going to prompt me to basically choose my Google account, which I'm going to choose my Google account and actually sign in, and then we can go ahead and actually test some emails for you guys. So in this case, I've just gone ahead and connected my account to mate.com. I'm going to go ahead and press continue, and that's pretty much it. I've gone ahead and actually connected my account. So this is now where we want to send that, summary to that specific client. For the subject, I'm going to put monthly report and then add that client name. And this is where the content comes in. Now, I'm a very lazy guy, guys, and I don't necessarily like writing emails. So I'm going to get ChatGPT to write my email for me. So I'm going to go back to our tab, which has our trusty friend here, ChatGPT, which is at this point is just our assistant, basically. I'm going to ask it, can you write an HTML email which we can send to clients to show them their monthly data? It should recap ad spend, leads, cost per lead, and make it pretty. So there you go. It's going to write that general HTML email for us. Now, I've asked HTML for a very specific purpose. Whenever you're actually sending emails using any sort of automation like Zapier, Mate.com, you always want to structure in HTML because the format is going to look a lot nicer in the actual email, which hopefully I will be able to show you guys in a second so you can see the difference and why this is actually worth doing. So in this case, it's gone ahead and actually generated my HTML. Fairly simple. Let's go ahead now and let's add this into our content over here. And now there's a couple of things we need to change it to make it, actually map out the right stuff. So in this case, I'm going to go all the way down here, and thankfully it's already put everything in black. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that now. So for month, I'm going to choose my month over here. And then for the client name, I'm going to once again choose my client name right here. And then once again, client name over here. And then for the month, I'm going to change that again, month, and add the correct month. And this is where I want to add my data. So first things first, we have ad spend, which I'm going to choose just by going like that. We have leads, which I'm going to choose just by going like that. And then we have our CPL, which once again I'm going to choose just by going like that. Now I will also add dollar signs here, just so we make it a bit, oh, there you go. It's already added it for me. There you go. AI is even better than me. And in this case, this is just like the current year, which is 2025. And we'll leave that as that. Cool. So let's go ahead and actually test this now because we've got our Gmail and we have everything ready. All we need to do is add the recipient. Very good point. So in this case, all I'm going to do is send it to this specific client. And to do that, I'm going to go all the way down to our second search. And you can see we have that email, which you can pull in because we set up our database. In this case, that we can match in that specific client. Now, I want to send data for client 5, which is the example I'm going to use. So I'm going to change this quickly to fluxomate@gmail.com, which is my email. So we can actually see what this looks like for someone. Now, when I actually test this, I don't want it to fail for all the other emails. So in this case, I'm just quickly going to add a filter that only continues to pass this if the email is equal to my email, basically. The only reason I'm doing this is because the rest of the emails are fake. You wouldn't actually do this if you're actually using this for your clients. So I'm going to put text is equal to fluxomate@gmail.com. I'm going to go and press save. And that's pretty much it, guys. This is our setup. Let's see what's going on here. It seems the connection is still invalid. I wonder why, because I just saved it. So it shouldn't be. It should be valid because I just connected it. I think we're good. Yeah, perfect. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and test this. And when we open our email, you should see an email summarizing everything. So I'm just going to run this quickly. It's going to find the date. It's going to set those different variables, search for the data, and then we're going to send out email, hopefully. So as you can see, the email's just been sent out. Let me open my email, see if we can find anything. Oh, okay. This actually looks a lot better than I initially thought it would. See, this is why we're using HTML. I mean, this is like a bit more advanced example, don't get me wrong, because it basically added it in a table for us, which is a bonus. But this looks pretty cool, man. Now we have this monthly report that's automatically generated at the end of each month, and it's going to send to each individual client, which in this case is my email fluxomate@gmail.com, but we pretended that was a client. As you can see, we have a summary of our results. We have our ad spend, the number of leads generated, and the cost per lead, automatically signed in a kind of mini report. Now, you can do this on a weekly basis. You can do it on a monthly basis. There's so much you can actually do. And obviously, you can change this email to make it a bit more personal, add different branding and different things like that. Just go back and forth with ChatGPT or any sort of AI that you want to go back and forth with, whatever you spend your time talking to. But yeah, we've set up these monthly reports. I'm actually quite impressed by the HTML on this. It looks pretty clean, I must admit. But cool. Back to our automation. And let's do the last thing, which in this case, I'm going to remove this filter because we don't need it anymore because we already done our test. And the last thing we need to do is set up our trigger, so when we actually want this to run. So once again, in this case, I told you I want to run this at the start of each month, so it scrape the data from a previous month. So in this case, I'm going to go days of the month. I'm going to choose the first, and then I can choose the time, which in this case, I'm going to make it in the morning. Why not? Or let's say just make it a bit. We're going to do it 12 or 1. Perfect. So now what this is going to happen is every start of the month at 1 o'clock, this automation is going to run. It's going to automatically scrape this Google Sheet, which once again, the data is going to come in automatically from Facebook on an hourly basis. Depends on how you actually want to set it. Let me just remove this filter. So we're going to have this data that automatically comes in from Facebook every single hour, or depending on how often you want to set it to update. But basically, let's say a minimum on a daily basis, this data is going to be automatically scraped from Facebook and added to the Google Sheet. We have this sheet right here, which automatically groups the data by month and individual clients. And then we have this beautiful automation here that scrapes that data on a monthly basis and sends that automated email, which looks something like this, directly to the client, completely automatically, without you having to do anything, right? This is super, super sick, guys. Now, like I said, like this is a very introductory version of this. There's so much more you can do. Like, for example, you can even take this to a whole nother level. This is an example dashboard that we have for a client. And as you can see, it basically compiles that data into a dashboard, which he can easily filter by individual clients, which once again is blurred right now, right? But for example, if I wanted to see how much I'm spending or how much ad spend this particular client has, we can automatically see it directly on the dashboard. I can also filter it automatically by relevant dates. So in this case, for example, let's say past 28 days, different things like that can be automatically filtered and in the dashboard. And we've set up a whole reporting system for these guys, and it's basically based on a similar principle that you've seen, using 2-minute reports to get that data, grouping that data by different clients, and then adding it to a dashboard, which obviously is a bit more advanced. But if you do want to see a video going over how I took that data from Google Sheets and set up in a dashboard, then just let me know in the comments and I can go ahead and actually record a new video for you guys. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. I've literally shown you how you can automate your ad reporting. And once again, in this case, we're using an example of Facebook. You can do this for TikTok data, Google Ads data, even different SEO stuff. There's so many different things you can do with this, and just make the most of it, because it's a very simple automation you can do to automate your reporting process. Now, in all honesty, I'm not a massive fan of actually automating these monthly reports, because I do think that within the agency, you do need that level of human touch, and having even some sort of input in the last stage where you can collect data from your different analysts or media buyers and maybe present a breakdown of what's going well, what you can improve on, and what you're going to do next to actually fix this ads is going to be a lot more impactful than just an automated report. However, internally, I really recommend you guys use this, because it can give you insight on your client's performance without having to open up different ad accounts and checking in on clients individually, because the more clients you get, the more messy it gets. I mean, we're dealing with people that are doing all the way up to 300k a month, and if they were doing reporting manually, it would be a complete mess. We're talking about people that are handling 100+ clients, So use these different tools like this more so internally rather than externally, because you want to maintain that human touch. However, at the same time, you want to make sure that you're on top of your client results and making sure everyone's getting the results that they're paying you for. So guys, that's pretty much it for today. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you want to access any of the automation resources, whether it's the Google Sheet, whether it's the actual automation template, you can check out our free school community. It's 100% free. Once you actually join, if you go over to Classroom and you go over to YouTube resources, you'll be able to find all the different automation templates just like this, where you can just download it and import it straight into your account. So you can just basically steal my automations, which clients pay me thousands for every single month, completely for free. You're welcome. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe as well. We post videos like this every single week, or at least we try to be honest. I have stopped recording for the past month because we got super busy, but thankfully we've grown the team and we've been able to onboard some more people to help me out. So I'm back on the YouTube grind now, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I talked about today. And apart from that, guys, it's been a pleasure recording this video. Please use this automation for your internal reporting, because it's going to make your team's life a lot easier. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.